what's up?
Hey folks, Jerry here. Welcome to the Pioneers of Insight podcast, a show that explores the wipeouts, crackups, and recoveries of inspiring and influential people. Here you'll get the stories of the quest to find success beyond the struggle and the great leaps of innovation that take us there. People that sound like this.
JLD.
What's up, man?
Jerry,
What's up, man?
What's up, brother?
Thank you so much.
Well, I'm
Jerry. This has
excited to
been
hear, Jerry.
fantastic.
Thanks for inviting
Thank you so
me.
much for having me.
Fun today.
Keep telling your story as well.
Yeah, man.
Hey, dude, how are you?
Hey, how you doing? I'll be right there.
Today we deep dive the life story of Cameron Brown, who sought relief in the jungles of Peru after a tough breakup and the suicide of a neighbor. All right, strap in, folks, as we head into a story about personal pain inspiring global action. Enjoy, and I'll catch you on the other side.
Let's see how it looks.
It looks good.
Good?
Yeah, looks great.
Awesome, man.
Cameron Brown, welcome to the Pioneers of Insight podcast. I'm so glad to have you here.
Great to be here. Looking forward to today. Right now, as we speak, I'm down in Buenos Aires. A lot of the time here at the moment is creating music, writing songs about some of the experiences I've had in the environment, in the rainforest. Places like Colombia and in Costa Rica, where I spent a lot of the time this year so far. So creating music there, creating instrumental pieces for the films that I've been creating up in Colombia as well. So coaching clients as well on each week with the clients that I have around the world. But if we were having this conversation just a month ago, it would have been trekking through rainforest, getting poured on with torrential rain, finding these amazing and interesting creatures, planting native trees in the rainforest for some of the members that we have. That kind of stuff. So it ranges big time. Yeah, it's all about empowering people to make a greater impact. And for me, it's about, if we chunk down to the next level, it's the realization that I had, especially over the past couple of years, is that we as human beings can make an impact on three different levels. And we can make an impact in our own lives, we can make an impact in others' lives, and we can have an impact on the planet as well. And some of the big realizations I've had, again, especially over the past couple of years and now traveling to different parts of the world, that experiencing things that I wouldn't normally experience, like the cutting down of trees and mining companies going into areas that it just blows my mind. I think that somebody would think that's okay to do. And so experiencing and witnessing some of these things, realizing that, we as humans, a lot of people are either living their lives or running their companies that might be good for themselves and they're succeeding and they're happy. Might even be good for others and supporting their family or supporting the workers that are in the company. But at the end of the day, if that's at the detriment to the planet, then all their success is doing is speeding up the rate at which we fall into decline.
When I hear people make a transition like you've made, typically underneath that, there's some sort of life event, right? That propels one into a place where they maybe take the leap from ordinary to extraordinary, the leap other people wouldn't make. What would you consider that point for you?
One evening, I ran over to a neighbor's house from a woman who was screaming, and she had just found her son had committed suicide earlier that day. It was a moment of disbelief, and at the time of this happening, I've been out of a relationship for a period of time, and but was drinking a lot. And after that occurred, a few months later, I enrolled in a coaching course.
What was compelling you to move towards coaching at that time?
That was a big one in that moment, because it was no longer about just me. It was no longer about living a good life and having all of the things that I wanted to have. It was about, how can I actually be of service to other people, and how can I overcome my own inner challenges to allow myself to be the best version of that, to be able to pay it forward. And so that's, I would say at that time that's what it moved to. It was, here you are living an okay life, and there's people that need help. What the hell are you doing about it?
Can I just rewind the tape just a little bit? You could have very well just in that moment said, boy, that was tough, and then gone right back to drinking, right? I mean, or you could have said, woo, that's too much. Were there certain messages that were coming up, or did you go to certain people in your life for direction or guidance that helped you make that step?
Yeah, I had when I started on from a coaching point of view and investing in a huge amount of time, energy, and money, I fully immersed myself in that industry and continue to do so. I went through a huge amount of training and went through a huge amount of transformation with myself. And I literally packed everything up into a trailer and my car and moved states. I gave up drinking. I started exercising every day. I went vegan for the month and then back to vegetarian. And since then I've gone to a fully plant-based diet again. All of these key things were contributors, but it came down to, first and foremost, if you want to help other people, you've got to first absolutely overcome your own bullshit. There's no magic pill or anything like that. It's you overcome your own internal thinking, your own internal barriers to allow yourself to be at that next level, because then when you're at that next level, you're able to solve those challenges for other people as well. Otherwise, again, you're going to be fighting against these inner demons, I guess. And at the end of the day, I think people's BS detectors are becoming.
Well, I also hear a superpower of yours, and your superpower is commitment, right? You were able to make a shift pretty quickly and align yourself with all the right people and get your mindset into a framework that really worked. All your eggs were in one basket in a short period of time. What do you think was unique about you?
Yeah, I think commitment, what you just mentioned around commitment is absolutely critical, as well as curiosity of not needing to get it exactly right. The moment that things have to be exactly right is the moment that you're setting yourself up for a huge amount of pain, because nothing ever goes exactly as you want it to. Unless you're in a controlled environment, like in a science lab, you've got other external things that you're being exposed to throughout the day. And there are certain things that you are in control of. There are other things that are simply not in your control. And having the flexibility of how you do that. And I remember back when I went through a huge amount of that mass transformation, that period, there's been a number of other times like that where it's just been a mass amount of growth. But that one specifically, I learned a lot from mentors, and all of the frameworks that I was using to be able to change this in terms of my mind and change my focus and change my mind and shift that to a new level of thinking. I just decided to play a game with myself. And nobody told me to play a game. Nobody mentioned this, but I just guess I'm maybe a child at heart, and I love games and just love playing. But this game was, okay, I sabotaged and went out of control, spiraled out of control. And let's just say for this conversation, it was like 7 days. And instead of beating myself up about that, I instead went, okay, next time it's going to be 6. Yeah? And just like a sporting match where you lose a game, for example, the team, if they're a quality team, they don't just go, all right, that's it. That's the season over, guys. We're out. And the belief starts to fall. No, they go, all right, this is what worked. This is what didn't. This is what we need to change. And we go out on the training track over the next week, practice that, change this, do that. And then come out on the field the next week and hopefully play a little better, or maybe a lot better.
Here's what I hear. Cameron Brown, one of your superpowers is giving yourself permission to struggle. So where do you think that came from with you? Was that a family piece, meaning you were given permission to do what you needed to do in terms of direction or to explore yourself? Because I also hear this, and we haven't known each other for very long, right? Maybe an hour and a half, 2 hours. You're a man, it's a Renaissance man. You're a man that has a sense of adventure. He's following his curiosity. That's a musician. That's a businessman. You got all these incredible aspects of you. Permission came in somewhere. Where do you think you got that?
I think I learned through, and this came from one of the trainings I went through in terms of levels of existence that we as human beings are. And learning this and then applying it into my own life. And so there's a shift from feeling like you fit in and belong somewhere and having that sense and having that desire to belong somewhere, to then moving to a level of going for what you believe in and standing out and finding the best way to do something. That transition is often one of the most challenging. I've seen it with clients as well now. One of the most challenging things to go through is because if the moment that you stand out, or the moment that you go for what you believe in, is the moment that you've potentially moved away from the thing that you feel like you belong to. And that could be a family unit. It could be friendship groups. It could be a workplace. It could be a community of some description. And if they don't get that version of yourself that you're looking and hoping to move towards, and you haven't built up enough strength in that level, then there's going to be certain things that are said, whether it's, oh, you shouldn't be doing that. Oh, you said you were going to do that before. Oh, I tried that and it didn't work. These types of things, again, it comes back to safety. It's those well-meaning people in your life trying to keep you safe.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to have enough, and for me personally, I had to have enough strength within myself to be able to move to that level of going to do it anyway, regardless of what anybody said. One big part of growing and evolving has been to learn how to become my own best friend.
Do you think your family experience helped you build that muscle a little bit of giving yourself permission? Did that come somewhere in your identity journey?
I think it's happened on both ends of the spectrum, in terms of part of it being, yes, supportive, and part of it maybe not being supportive. In the town I grew up in as well, I didn't feel like I fitted in. Played piano while others were playing guitar, and there was other parts of me from a sensitive point of view, and it just, I didn't feel like I fitted in. Didn't feel like I belonged, and I remember I gave up piano for a couple of years, and it was something that somebody said in one of the classes that I had that made me feel, and again, it was my perception of it looking back on it, that it wasn't a cool thing to do. That 2 years that I stopped music, it was in very much alignment with the 2 years that I was struggling big time with my own personal identity and my own sense of worth and my own sense of belonging. And it wasn't until I moved through that and started, then I came back and started playing again. I played by ear instead now, because I remember walking past the piano one morning and looked, or it might have been an afternoon, I can't remember that part anymore, but I remember walking past the piano, looking at it and thinking, I'll give that another go. So going back and doing it was just a thing that I did back then.
Plugging back in, yep.
It felt good to do. It felt like I just wanted to do that, and I think there's something to be said about that. About the moment that you're experiencing emotions that you're not wanting to experience, it's okay to experience those, but if you're allowing the emotions to get stuck in you rather than flow through you, that's where the problem lies. Is that for a lot of people, and for me for a long time, is that. And still at times where it gets blocked for a period of time until I move through it, is we allow these emotions to get stuck in us rather than allowing them to flow through. So sadness, for example, or depression or anxiety or these other things that we experience, is they get locked in because we're not learning the thing that was the reason why the emotion was coming up in the first place, is for us to be able to learn and grow through that experience.
Well, I also hear for you too, though, maybe you didn't have the emotional skill set at that time, meaning...
No, which is why it lasted for so many years.
Right. Why the breakout was so powerful for you. When we go to your experience of, meeting that young person that had committed suicide, right? You're seeing an old version of yourself, right? In the need to really connect emotionally to you at the same time. Let me just encapsulate what we've got. Cameron Brown, incredible superpower. He's given himself permission to live the life that he wants to live, right? We hear you going back into your life and you talking about being in a position early on as a young man of feeling locked, right? You were locked in. And a lot of that was based upon fears or perceptions of others, right? You give yourself permission after this critical period in your life in a big way, right? Following that suicide, you step into coaching, you instantly align yourself with powerful people. You connect and commit yourself to getting the reps in terms of the mindset piece. Then Cameron Brown, more of a superpower is coming out. You take your mindfulness and awareness as not just a business person and as a coach, but as a human being and say, it's not enough for me to just do these two things. I have to be mindful enough in my journey to understand a way to do this that honors the planet that I'm living on.
So what else do you think is important for us to know in this story?
I'd love to just share quickly a couple of parts that got to this point as well, because it's one thing to have the awareness around something that's got to shift, but I think it's the experiences that is combined with the awareness and actually taking the action that leads you towards that. A couple of the big things for me personally was out of my last relationship that I was in, going back 2.5 years ago now. That was a relationship that I thought was going to be the love of my life, and it felt like I'd given everything to it and had overcome so many things, and it was just completely heartbreaking for me. And coming out of that, again, there was this questioning period of, am I really experiencing life as I want to? While I was living an okay life and doing okay, the answer was no. And so I moved out, and within a month after moving out, so that month, so it was February 2015, I went overseas for the first time. I went rock climbing, skydiving, and rappelling down waterfalls, gliding, mountain climbing, whitewater rafting, all within I think it was 35 or 40 days, and just realized that life was absolutely about experiences, not things. The next defining moment which led to this was I was flying back in March 2016 from the first series of events over in North America. And again, I'd never been to North America before, but 4 months earlier, I didn't even know how to dial a US phone number and just said, let's do it. It's this sense of curiosity. If you don't take anything else away, curiosity has been just the biggest contributor to my success because it feeds off itself. And this sense of curiosity opens you up with vulnerability, with authenticity. It opens you up to creativity and innovation. It allows life to be flowing through you rather than you having to force it to come into existence. And so flying back in March 2016, I remember it was really great. It went really well, but I remember just having this, it was just a small feeling then of there's stuff just sitting at home, wasting away, not being used. Somebody else will be better off with it than I would. And I didn't do anything about it at that time because I went straight into planning mode for the next tour, which was only 3 or so 4 months later. And this time it was going to be into Canada as well. And so Australia, Canada, and the US. And then I did the next tour, and it was so intense over in North America, from recording music in a recording studio to photo shoots to running the 3 events to speaking at an event in LA and flying from Toronto to LA and then LA to New York the next morning. And it was just incredibly intense, 2-week period. And then went back to run the events in Australia straight afterwards, 2 days after arriving back, and jet lag and everything else, right? And so it was an intense period of realizing as well, though, that framework, that model of the business wasn't sustainable. And so in thinking about how was I going to bring in and was thinking about getting rid of stuff at the same time as building out a business model that would allow me to travel still, would allow the music to still be created while empowering people to make a greater impact. And so I was curious, again, this word curiosity, of I wonder what I could do. I wonder what I could experience that would allow me to do all of this. And you know what? One of the key parts to it, I was in Brisbane at the time, had just become sick after, was in the middle of the final events, and my body had just finally gone, okay, dude, time for you to rest, dude. Here's that what we've been holding on to for a while, but here's you getting a little bit sick here, because that was just freaking insane. And I remember just lying there thinking, I wonder if there's like pianos that I could roll up in my suitcase that I could roll out and play, like that I could plug into my computer. And I found one, it just wasn't that great a quality. And so I went for a walk that day. I was just out, like I said, visiting family in Brisbane at the time. And I went for a walk. I thought, I wonder if there's like places around the world that have pianos in them. Because I was using Airbnb at the time anyway, and I love them as a company, as what they stand for. And I went back and looked on my phone, and I just started finding these places that had like grand pianos and other types of pianos around the world. There's a boat in Belgium that I can't wait to stay on that has this old school boat that has a beautiful grand piano. But just started finding these places. I thought, okay, so I could travel to these different places and stay in places that have a piano. I don't necessarily even need a piano then, and it'll allow me to experience these different things. And this is how I could maybe release some new music. And that's kind of how it started. And I thought, well, I wonder how I could bring that into what I'm currently doing in terms of coaching clients, and then bring this all into a framework that would allow me to experience exactly what I want to experience, but at the same time make an even bigger impact in the world. And this is where this concept that I created called blending, of how can you blend in parts of your life that seem so different, but bring them into one way that makes you so unique and so incredibly powerful that it creates this unique point of difference that nobody else can touch, right? And that's really where it started off in terms of thinking, right, well, if I'm going to do that, then I'm going to probably get rid of some stuff.
What's exciting you in your life right now, and where do you see yourself headed?
I'm very excited about creating more music that has people connect to themselves with the instrumental stuff, but also the lyrics that actually have people think and shift shift something in their lives. I'm excited about releasing all of the short films that we recorded in Colombia, which will be coming out in the next couple of months. You know, there was a reforestation project up in northern Colombia. There were petroglyphs that I was able to go and see and be one of the first in the world to go and see there. And there's a place that called Rio Claro, which they provide 30% of their income that comes from all the adventure activities there go to buying more land in this period. Place that they want to create this corridor. So there's just some cool stuff that we're coming out to, an animal sanctuary and other things like that. I'm excited to just continue working with people that are wanting to make a greater impact, helping them break through the things that are holding them back through the breakthrough coaching and high performance coaching that I do. And the beautiful thing I find is that because I'm in a space of flow when I'm having these sessions and able to draw experiences and learning and understanding from the environment, and like the things that I learn from being in these different situations is just extraordinary, that I can then pay that forward. So love and excited about continuing to do that. From a future point of view, looking forward to bringing in, we won't say too much about it, but bringing in elements of augmented reality into live events.
You're what I would call a person that's securely set in their creator, right? I mean, you are exploding with life and knowledge and wisdom, and you're finding a way to share that with the world in a truly creative way. However, I'm gonna give the flip side of this. That takes a lot of energy, and you're taking incredible positive risks in your life, right? And you're a human being. What practices do you have in your life that allow you to manage the energy that you need and keep you moving with momentum and passion towards your goals?
I'd say, I'd say absolutely the biggest is the sense of purpose. It's not just about me; it's about others and it's about the planet too. And it's a genuine belief that what I have available and what I've been gifted to experience in this life and learn and evolve through can genuinely change the world for the better. I think the second is that the things that I'm doing on a regular basis are the things that, again, give me energy. And if I look at writing music and being out in nature and recording on a drone and going across this valley 2.5 kilometers and capturing this beautiful waterfall going up, it's like sitting there going, holy shit, this is work. Like, holy crap, this is amazing. But it's about working out, for whoever's listening into this, is find out, like, what are those things that give you energy, and what are the things that suck you of energy. From a health and well-being. I mean, I eat a full vegan diet and live a vegan lifestyle. I believe that is a huge contributor to feeling in alignment with the planet, for one. Meditative practices as well. I've just found a place that does yoga here in Buenos Aires, so I've got I'll be there for the next month and doing that probably 5 days a week as well. So those things of nurturing the body and also taking time for myself. I mean, the first couple of weeks of being here in Buenos Aires is giving myself, again, permission to just chill.
There's a couple takeaways, and then I'm going to close you out with the power question. Momentum for you don't have to create it. It's not manufactured. A lot of us have to give ourselves permission just to plug in to what we already know. Passion already shows us where we can live life with energy, with momentum, with joy, and with happiness. It's already there. All the signals are there. It's more, and when you're talking about what's working for you, is you've allowed yourself to totally unplug for the stuff that's just draining in your life. Maybe those could be business challenges. Maybe those can be relationship challenges. Maybe those can be just personal challenges. And to connect to the stuff that gives you passion. You are fully in flow. When I give you a space to talk, you're exploding with life, right? Because you're constantly in that channel, and I could see that. It's almost like, this window's too small, Jerry. We need a bigger window to talk. Number two is you've taken steps to align more fully in your body. Number three, I hear you're a steward. You've become a steward of the planet. That aligns with the creator that you are right now in your life, both in your business, both in your personal life, and both on the creative end. This is all blended together. So let me take you out with this power question. Let's say it's 40 years down the road, and you have two beautiful grandchildren that walk up to you. I don't know where you're at in the world, but it's probably somewhere fantastic, because that's the way you roll, right? Your grandchildren come up to you and they say something like this. A lot of my friends have been talking about success, and I'm confused by what success is. Grandpa, what is success? What would you tell them?
This is a good question. Straight away, I remember back to something that a person had said probably 5 or 6 years ago now, in a session that I had, as in me getting coached. And it was, success is living in alignment with your values, knowing what you're ideally wanting to experience on a consistent basis from an emotional point of view, and living and breathing that. Everybody has a unique set of talents and strengths, and we have an opportunity to utilize them in whichever way we choose. But at the end of the day, there's one way that will allow us and the rest of the planet to thrive, and hopefully that we get an opportunity to visit different galaxies or stars and planets and all that kind of stuff in the future. But for the time being, we have a limited resource on this planet. And so my answer would be that success is utilizing those unique talents and strengths that only you have, and using them to make an impact, not only in your own life, but also in others and to the planet as well.
So Cameron Brown, I want to thank you for joining us on the Pioneers of Insight podcast. It was truly a pleasure. Where do you want to point the listener to keep up with what you're doing and where you're headed on your mission?
Yeah, the best, and just quickly as well, thanks for having me on. I've really enjoyed sharing today, and hope those listening in that you've gotten some out of it. And I'd say just look at one thing that you can take action on, just even if it's just a smaller step. Make that decision and write it down. Write down one thing that you're going to do from this. Don't just make this another thing that you listened to and thought, oh, maybe I'll do something about that in the future. The website is thrivingcollective.com, and so you can find all of the info and things that are happening there. If you want to check out some of the videos and stuff of traveling around the world and the music and all of that, /earth. So thrivingcollective.com/earth is the best place to go for that. And from a social media point of view, /AskCameronBrown.
All right, folks, that's a wrap. If you enjoyed the episode, please leave a review on whatever platform you're listening to. This just helps put it in the hands of the people likely to get something out of it. If you'd like to dig a little deeper and see what we got cooking here at TOOWi Media, you can visit our website at TOOWiMedia.com. Wishing you grace to fill your sails today. Stay great in the meantime, and I'll see you on the next Pioneers of Insight.
Here you are living an okay life and there's people that need help. What the hell are you doing about it?